Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, I'm going to be doing a hypnosis session based on the concept of personal bests. I actually really like the way of thinking about beating a previous record that is unique to an individual, because I think it's all about progress. And I think one of the traps that people fall into when they set big goals is they're trying to compete with other people. And the problem with that is that quite often we're at a different stage of the journey, whether that's in fitness or business or finance or relationships. We're at a different stage of the journey than someone else. So if you're competing your income, let's say, with someone else's income, that's not necessarily a fair contest, because they might have more experience, they might have better contacts or whatever it might be, better investments. Equally, it would be crazy for me to compete with, let's say, a professional powerlifter when I lift weights. I couldn't care less what the world's strongest man can bench press or deadlift. I'm only really interested in, can I do better than I've ever done before? So that kind of ethos of personal bests is, I think, a really empowering and positive psychology. It's good to compete, but when you're competing with other people, you can be focused too much on them rather than on yourself. If what you're really competing with is yourself but at a different time, then that's actually a very fair contest, because your genetics are the same. The key difference is that you might have more experience now than you had before, which actually is an advantageous component if you're now trying to have new personal bests. I think what prompted me to do a hypnosis session today on personal bests is because, as I record this, it's the last day of the month of August, and I normally work on a month-by-month basis when I set goals. So I have a coach that I work with, and I set my intentions and my outcomes on a monthly basis. And in my company, I have a couple of different businesses, but in my PR company, targets and records are set on a monthly basis. Also, the podcast that you're listening to right now renews the data, the figures, on a monthly basis. So again, I have monthly targets, not necessarily targets, but just intentions. So my intention is to have a record month every month, and sometimes I do that and sometimes I don't, but generally, by having that intention, it makes me feel very motivated to make interesting content. And this month in particular, there's been multiple personal bests for me. So in my PR agency, there was one particular day where we generated £64,000 worth of new revenue in a single day. That was a record in a single day. The podcast, as I've just looked at the statistics, had 170,000 downloads, and there's still half a day left. So we're probably going to end this month on about 174,000 downloads this month. And the previous record, if I just check that, was 160. So that's an extra 14,000 downloads in a single month, as a direct improvement on what it was before. So these personal bests are really useful, I think, to measure progress. So the hypnosis session that you're about to listen to is creating an ethos, a psychology, if you like, a desire, not to be the best in the world, but to be the best version of you that it's possible to be, and to not be afraid of measurement. I think a lot of people, and I've worked with lots of people in weight loss, lots of people in wealth, they don't like measuring stuff. And there's an old cliche in the world of management and business consultancy that is that you can't manage what you don't measure. And I've always been a big fan of measuring progress because it gives you a reality check. You can actually see, if I'm in the gym, I can see if I'm lifting heavier weights. If I'm doing cardio, I can see if I'm traveling over a further distance in the same time frame. In the world of business, for example, I can see if my revenue is increasing or decreasing. In the world of podcast, I can see if my download numbers are getting higher or lower. And what it does is it gives you a feedback loop to do more of what's working and less of what isn't. And I think that's really useful, because outside of that, you're second guessing. You're hoping that you're doing the right thing. Now, it entirely depends on your intention. There are lots of things that you can't measure, and quite frankly, you wouldn't want to measure. I can't measure the relationship that I have with my children, for example, and if I gave them, I don't know, like a feedback score or something like that, there'd be something a bit weird about that. So the goal isn't to measure everything, but it is to have a desire for a few key areas of your life that are important, to be willing to measure them and to be motivated to break new records, to have new personal bests, and to make progress in that area. If you're listening to this and you want a copy of this download but without accessing it through the podcast platforms, or in fact any other of the downloads, and I've got around about 50 downloads that you just won't be able to hear on the podcast that you can access through my website. So if you go to adamcox.co.uk, click the downloads tab, and if you use the coupon code FREE, you can download any of the audio downloads completely free of charge, just as a thank you for listening to the show and supporting the show. So that's my gift to you. Equally, if you would want to work with me or consider working with me to be the personal best that you can be in a particular area of your life, then you can book a free 30-minute consultation call where I can talk you through that component, and just how working with me would work and what it would cost and that kind of stuff. But for now, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a feeling of resourceful relaxation, and as you exhale, just allow feelings of any worry or tension to leave your body in the outward breath. That's right. breathing in, a real sense that you're becoming more and more resourceful with each and every breath. And as you exhale, just getting a sense that anything no longer necessary is leaving your body in that outward breath. And perhaps that could be tension, perhaps that could be stress or worries, or perhaps any disempowering beliefs that you've been holding on to that no longer serve you. Just allow them to leave your body in your outward breath. That's right. Taking you deeper and deeper, relaxed. Now. That's right. As you breathe in and breathe out, if you haven't already done so, and it's safe to do so, on the next outward breath, just allow your eyelids to close, and notice that as they close, you immediately feel even deeper relaxed. Not because relaxation is necessary, but just because it feels good to give yourself and your body permission to let go of that tension, to take you into deeper and deeper levels of that nice feeling of being completely relaxed. And you don't need a holiday to relax. You don't need a day in a spa. Sometimes you can just allow your body to relax because being relaxed is nice for your body to be that way. That's right, deeper and deeper, relaxed. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine that you are entering a control room of your mind. I want you to imagine that this control room can look like any control room that you've ever seen. And if you think about the world of industry, you might think of a control room as being the air traffic control room, where they have all the screens of the different flight paths. You could imagine a control room in a nuclear power plant with all the dashboards and safety gauges. Perhaps in a factory, you might see a control room with all the valves showing the input and output. And maybe in a high-tech, futuristic company, you could imagine digital dashboards, lots of screens reporting different information. Whatever control room comes to your mind is exactly the right control room to think of. And here in this control room, I want you to imagine that there is a cause and effect relationship between multiple parts. For example, if you were to increase motivation, that might also have a proportionate impact on your desire and ability to take action. As your activity levels increase, don't be surprised if that then has a cause and effect relationship to results. And as the results increase, doesn't it stand to reason that your experience levels also increase? Because when you do things, you experience feedback, and sometimes that feedback increases your level of wisdom and knowledge. They say practice makes perfect, but only if you refine what you do and improve it. If you were doing the wrong thing every day for hours and hours, practice wouldn't make perfect. Practice would just make permanent. You would be ingraining and repeating behavior and actions that just weren't very effective. So I want you to get a sense that in order to become better, isn't it necessary to not only put the work in, but to have some way of evaluating if you're achieving the level of results or the outcome that you actually want. And sometimes people will measure certain things that give them an indication, the metrics of their performance. If you think of any high-performing athlete, don't they measure everything? They measure time, they measure their records, their personal bests. Perhaps they even measure their training, their nutritional input. All of these things, and they measure them for a reason, Because in the world of elite sports, every athlete is looking for a distinction, the difference that makes the difference. And all it would take is one minor tweak that they can then identify has a positive impact on improvement, and that can be the difference between someone winning and losing, achieving a medal or achieving nothing, breaking a world record or just racing another race. I want you to get a sense that there are certain areas in your life where perhaps you would like to be the best you've ever been. And I want your mind to drift into what areas of your life these could be. Maybe income is one of those things. Wouldn't it be good to earn more than you've ever earned now than you ever have done in the past? Perhaps it's about fitness. Wouldn't it be good to be fitter or stronger now than you ever have been at any other point in your life? And I want you to get a sense that a useful way of thinking about what that would mean is the term personal best. A personal best is quite often used in the world of athletics and elite sport. It may not be a world record, but it is a world record for that particular individual. A personal best just relates to the best that that individual has ever done. And I wonder what it would be like for you to set the intention of becoming the best you've ever been in certain key areas of your life. And I wonder what they would be. I wonder what they would be for you to feel a sense of pride and accomplishment, to be the best that you've ever been in that area of your life. And maybe it's something new, or maybe it's something you've done for a while but you just haven't really measured things. Because sometimes when people measure stuff, they're able to start making incremental improvements. We live in a time in history where things that couldn't used to be measured are now measured every single day. So many people have gadgets that enable them to measure things like resting heart rate or number of steps walked in any given day. Perhaps it might be other areas of activity or sleep. There are so many tools that enable us to measure productivity, to record metrics, outcomes, numbers. There are dashboards available for almost any area of our lives, so we can see progress. I want you to get a sense that progress is infinitely more important than perfection. So many people want to be the best in the world without really knowing the sacrifices it would take to become the very best in the world. And I wonder just how much more valuable it would be for you to just be the best you've ever been. What if you were the healthiest you've ever been in your life? What if you were the fittest or strongest you've ever been in your life? What if you were the wealthiest or highest earning that you've ever been in your life? It wouldn't guarantee that you're suddenly happy. It wouldn't guarantee that your life is suddenly amazing. But given the choice of being the best that you've ever been, or perhaps being at a time where you're past your peak, doesn't it make sense to set the intention to be the best that you've ever been in your life? Realizing that as you age, priorities change. It might be desirable in your 20s, 30s or 40s to be the strongest you've ever been. But perhaps when you're in your 60s, 70s or 80s, other things are more important. Maybe a personal best is to travel to more countries in a year than you've ever done before, to see amazing experiences, to watch or attend different shows more than ever before. As life changes, your priorities change, and sometimes these are a reflection of your values and what you value most at that point in your life. For some people at a certain age, it might be career or financial goals. For other people, it might be health and wellness. And for other people, it might be different things that are crucial to their significance, their feeling of importance. If you desire to lose weight, doesn't it make sense for you to increase your activity levels? And as you look at your control room, I want you to get a sense that everything is connected. Your beliefs are connected to your emotional states. When you believe that you can be the best you've ever been, you become more resourceful, more motivated, more determined. As your resourceful states increase, naturally you take more action. You do more of the things that are required for that possibility to become real. And when you take more action in the spirit of believing that good things will happen, that progress will be made, with a belief system that the more you do something with the intention of improving, the better you will become, doesn't it stand to reason that life gets better, that you become better, that suddenly you achieve more and more of these personal bests? And as good as it feels to achieve these personal bests, what's even more interesting is that over time, what was a personal best that you achieve just once can very often turn into just your average performance in that area. Because when you achieve a personal best, you then have evidence that it is possible for you to do that again. When that becomes your standard go-to level of performance in that area, you increase even more resources, even more action to yet again improve on that area. A personal best is like a mirage, except it's a mirage where you drink from the oasis and then see the very same mirage again on the horizon. You enjoy the satisfaction, but you also enjoy the pursuit of that goal. I want you to get a sense that you are unlocking all of the resources necessary for you to become more determined, more motivated, more active in these areas of your life that are important for you to become the best that you've ever been. I want you to imagine somewhere in this control room is a large screen, perhaps like a movie cinema screen. And I want you to imagine that you're able to see a future version of you achieving a personal best in an area of your life that is vitally important for you. Just setting one intention. Maybe it's to increase your income to a certain level and just decide what that income level is. Maybe it's to become stronger and maybe see yourself lifting a particular weight of a particular amount, and that becomes a new personal best for you. Maybe it's something that you can link to success in your business or your employment. What would be the best ever month, the best ever week, the best ever day for you, and then see yourself on that screen achieving that very outcome. And then just accept that you have the resources to pursue this, the desire to measure progress, and a conviction that if you keep pursuing something important to you with a spirit of resourcefulness, an air of expectation that good things will happen, and a fierce resilience to pick yourself up whenever you experience any setbacks or disappointments, just have 100% confidence that these personal bests are not a possibility, they are a destiny. They are simply a cause and effect relationship of you doing the right things to achieve the right results, knowing that the personal bests of today will become your average mediocre performance of your future, meaning that you will achieve more and more personal bests in all of these areas of your life that are vitally important to you. Now it's time to leave this control room of your mind and go back to reality. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. And in doing so, I want you to get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now. Wiggle those fingers, wiggle those toes. As I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken feeling resourceful, feeling motivated, with a clear idea that you will make massive progress in these areas of your life that are important, and will do whatever measurement is necessary to learn from setbacks, to continue making improvements until achieving personal bests becomes a regular occurrence. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.